What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Y'all, we are fresh off two mega Final Four matchups. We know who will be playing for the NCAA Women's National Championship, and it is two familiar foes. A matchup that we saw last year in the Final Four. We had superstars balling out on the biggest stage. We had one controversial call that could have changed everything. But before we get into all that, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button for all the latest and the greatest, and join our memberships. We got that exclusive content coming daily, weekly, whenever you need it. Now, let's get into it.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
Our first game, it was tight for about 2 quarters, man. Cross-state rivals NC State and South Carolina battled it out in game 1 for a trip to the Natty on the line. South Carolina coming into this game undefeated. The other storyline, of course, Sania Rivers, who transferred from South Carolina just 2 seasons ago, moved over to NC State, became a starter and their starting point guard, and helped lead them to new heights that they hadn't seen in years. With a chance to go to the national championship, she had to face her old team. South Carolina has looked vulnerable at times this year. In this game, NC State did everything right for a half. And then Uconn outscores them, South Carolina outscores them 29-6 in the third quarter. And never really looked back in this one. But let's get into the numbers. South Carolina takes the dub 78-59. Holy Camila Cardoso. We'll get to it, though. They shoot 50% from the field, knock down 8 of 19 3-pointers compared to 6 from NC State. South Carolina, something you don't see often from them, shooting 100% from the free throw line. NC State left 5 points at the line. They go 13 of 18. South Carolina continues to dominate the glass. They really ramped it up in the second half and was snagging everything off the glass. They finished with a team total of 46 rebounds compared to NC State's 32. NC State's got some solid size in that front line, so that was a very impressive performance by the bigs. I mean, Ashlyn Watkins, 20 freaking rebounds. Are you kidding me? But we'll get to it. South Carolina also sharing that Peel, 18 assists compared to just a lot of ISO ball, only 5 assists from NC State. They get 10 steals. South Carolina wins that +1. They do have 15 turnovers, though, compared to 12 from NC State. So that's something they'll want to clean up against their next matchup. And then South Carolina, 16 personal fouls. They were letting the NC State players feel it. What a season for NC State, man. What a way to just revitalize this program. They have nothing to hang their heads about. They go in and give it their all. River Baldwin, Mimi Collins did everything they could in the paint to try to contain Ashlyn Watkins and Camila Cardoso. Just wasn't quite enough. Isaiah James caps off an incredible season. Arguably the most improved player in the nation. She got her 20-piece. In the first half, she really had it going. Her and Cardoso were really trading buckets. Quiet game for Sania Rivers, man. I don't know if it was overwhelming for her playing against her old team, but they definitely had her figured out. Not one of her better games at all. She has 5 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound. Didn't really leave her imprint on this game like she really needed to for her team to get the dub in this contest, man. And, it's emotional playing a former team, especially on a stage like this where you've never really played before. So, there are going to be nerves. There's going to be familiarity there as well. They know what Rivers wants to do. They pressured her. Raven Johnson and Malaysia Fulali were hounding her all game and just making things difficult, man. They did get a really good game from Zoe Brooks off the bench. The 5'10" guard came in and made some big shots for NC State to try to stop the bleeding. It just was not enough, though. Madison Hayes gives them another 3 points. Now, NC State was not shy about going to their bench, which they really brought the energy in the second quarter for this group and stacked up against South Carolina's second 5. But that third quarter, South Carolina was lights out. We mentioned Camila Cardoso, 22 and 11. She sat most of the fourth quarter, but they had no answer. Collins, Baldwin, it don't matter. Cardoso was going to work, finishing through double teams, finishing tough contested buckets, getting to her spot on the block, and just using that 6'7" frame to punish the Wolfpack down low. Raven Johnson hit some big threes, man, and she's really improved her three-point percentage by double. Like, bro, she was shooting like less than 25% last year. Now she's shooting over 33%. That just shows you just the effort, the consistency, and the will that she put in, that work over the summer to make sure that they could not guard her like Ben Simmons. She was huge in this game. Also had 5 assists and 2 rebounds. And like we mentioned, she was absolutely hounding Sanaya Rivers on ball, man. Just being a pest. Never let that NC State backcourt really get comfortable and initiate too much offense. It was a lot of ISO ball, man. So shout out Raven Johnson getting it done on both ends. Breezy Hall was out there chasing Isaiah James all around. And it was a quiet second half for her for the most part. A really quiet third quarter. She had 3 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, and just was chasing around James all game. Tahina Pow, big shots from her. The steady presence when the boat did start rocking for this group in the second quarter, man. Pow really manned the ship and kept things poised for this group. She finished with 10 points and 6 assists. Ashlyn Watkins, oh my goodness, 8 points, 1 assist, and a game-high 20 rebounds, bro. She was a monster on that glass. They had nothing for Ashlyn Watkins. Do you hear me? She is going to be a superstar next year, man. The future is just... The present is bright, but the future could be even brighter for South Carolina, man. Watkins is just a stud. Tessa Johnson gives them 9 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound. And her defensive versatility, being able to guard the paint as well as the perimeter. So we know that South Carolina had that length, and them guards like to get active and punish smaller guards. Tessa Johnson wasn't having it. Sanaya Fagan providing some valuable minutes off the bench for the bigs. 6 points, 3 assists. Malaysia Fulp-Wiley, we know the impact she makes and the way she can change the entire momentum of a game with just a couple of plays when she's interjected into the lineup. 7 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound. Balanced attack for South Carolina, man. They have 3 players in double figures, but Cardoso, Raven Johnson, the 2 best friends, really put this team on their back and got it done. Made shot after shot when they needed it. And they get the dub, man. They continue their winning ways. 37 wins. South Carolina has been dominant. We expected nothing less for them to be back in this game. They went from the Hunters in the first part of the season to the Hunted. They lost 5 starters, y'all, to the WNBA draft. The whole Freshies class up out of there, and it didn't matter. They reloaded, and Coach Dawn Staley, one of her greatest coaching performances, 3rd time she's been named National Coach of the Year. She continues to just be the standard in women's college basketball. South Carolina continues to be the standard and what everybody else is chasing, in my opinion. And they have a chance to get their ones back, run it back against Iowa and Caitlin Clark, who put them out of the tournament. Their last stop on the revenge tour, man. Getting it back in blood against Iowa. They try that zone. I'm telling you, Raven Johnson has proven that she can be a knockdown shooter now. Don't give her that space. That same game plan is not going to work against South Carolina this year. The size, Iowa lost their starting center from last year. Hey, man, they going to have their hands full. Hannah Stokey, O'Grady trying to contain Camila Cardoso, keep Ashlyn Watkins off the board. It's going to be a mega matchup, man. Iowa scored more points than last year, though. So it'll be an interesting matchup for sure. A dynamic of 2 teams that want to do 2 completely different things. One team that wants to get it down low in the paint. One team that depends on their guards to get it going and hit shots from the perimeter. A battle of 2 immovable objects. Something's got to give, man. So South Carolina looking to finish the deal in their final game. And what just a record-breaking, historic season for them. And like we said, their last stop on the revenge tour is against Iowa, who won our second game of the night. This game did not disappoint. I knew this would be one of the best games of the year, one of the biggest matchups of the season so far, especially in the NCAA tournament, where you got two guards playing incredible basketball, and Paige Beckers, who was averaging over 29 points through the tournament, as well as Caitlin Clark, who we know walking 30-piece. And these two players, friends, have given each other their respect, have been teammates, have been linked together since middle school. Paige Beckers was more of the star coming in, number one ranked player in her class. Coming in, National Freshman of the Year, winning National Player of the Year, just was incredible. Got off to a hot start, had those 2 years where she got back-to-back season-ending injuries. In those 2 years, Caitlin Clark became the face of women's college basketball and never looked back. Now, they get to settle it on the court. And this was a crazy game, and some people are upset saying that a controversial call, an illegal screen, an offensive foul called on the final possession of the game for Uconn may have cost them this game. Did the refs get too involved? Let's get into it. Uconn started off taking control of this game and took a lead into halftime. But the third quarter seems to be when both teams came alive, South Carolina and Iowa, because Iowa scored 25 compared to 19 for Uconn and then closed them out in the fourth quarter. Oh my goodness, Kate Martin wanted to be in this national championship game. Caitlin Clark, hey, I'm just saying, Uconn did a great job containing her for 2 quarters. Shout out Nika Mule, but at some point, she's going to break loose. Looking at the team numbers, Iowa shot an impressive 45.8 from the field. Uconn shot an impressive 46%. Uconn wins the three-point battle 8-7, 32% to 28%. Iowa got into the line, being a little more physical, attacking that paint. They hit 10 out of 14 free throws. Uconn hits 3 out of 4. Iowa dominating the rebounding battle. Neither one of these teams are dominant on the glass, but Iowa did dominate Uconn on the glass last night, 37-29, 26 defensive rebounds. Now, shout out to Mule and Paige Beckers moving that rock. They finished with a team total of 21 assists compared to Iowa's 12. Both teams had 1 block. Uconn, 15 steals. They were really pressuring that basketball, especially late in the game. They got two big turnovers back-to-back to really claw back into this game in the final minutes. Shout out KK Arnold, who was incredible. Shout out Nika Mule, active hands. Aaliyah Edwards, her quick hands led to Mule being able to find Paige Beckers for a 3 that cut this lead to just 1 point. Nika Mule hit a huge 3 as well, just being active on the defensive side. They did have 18 personal fouls. We saw multiple players, including Aaliyah Edwards and KK Arnold, get into foul trouble, and it impacted the game, man. It definitely did. Uconn, the usual suspects, man. Aaliyah Edwards, 17 points, 3 assists, 8 rebounds. Paige Becker, 17, 3 and 4. Nika Mule, 9, 7 and 5 in her final game with the Huskies. KK Arnold, the freshman, big time, was really getting into the lane, showing her athletic ability, man, attacking those Iowa guards. She finished with 14, 5 and 2. Shout out to Gabby Marshall on Iowa side doing a heck of a job on Paige Beckers, man. Beckers only 17 points, well below her average. They did a good job as well, man. Both teams holding their stars in check for the most part. Ashlyn Shade, another freshman, 5 points, 1 assist, 7 rebounds. Never really found her shot, man. She had a couple really good looks from 3. Never really got it going. And then Ice Brady, 7 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds for her as well. And we know what this team has been through, man. Losing 2 double-digit scores in Aubrey Griffin as well as AZ Fudd. Like, a lot of production from this Uconn team was missing. They still get to the Final Four on the backs of Edwards and Beckers. Their freshmen grew up quick, and this will bode well for their development. I think it definitely improved their trajectory and helped them just, hey, man, they had to learn quick. They got some valuable minutes this year, and that will help with the depth of Uconn next year, bringing back a lot of those injured players, bringing back the cornerstone, the crown jewel in Paige Becker. So the sky's the limit for Uconn. Looking on the other side, Hannah Stokey and Caitlin Clark were huge in this game. Stokey continues to just have a superb sophomore year, 23 points, 1 assist, 3 rebounds. She was really active in transition. She's quick. she's tough to keep up with, man, and it may be a problem for Cardoso keeping up with her, getting down the paint in transition, man, because Staley gets down that court, and these guards do an incredible job of finding her, and she's just ready to catch and finish as soon as she touches the rock. So I think she could be special in this game, matching up with South Carolina. But big game for the sophomore forward. Caitlin Clark, 21 points, 7 assists, 9 rebounds. Shout out Nika Mule, man, hounding Caitlin Clark for 4 quarters. She did a really good job of just denying her in the first half. Eventually, Clark broke through, though, hit a couple big threes, made a couple big assists, and was grabbing rebounds as well. She's going to impact the game whether she's scoring or not. But they did a very, very good job of making things difficult for Caitlin Clark. Like, she was frustrated the whole first half. So, definitely got to give credit to Nika Mule on that one. Sydney Falter, the game-winning rebound for this group. And she's just been incredible since she was interjected in the starting lineup. We know they are missing their third leading scorer, Molly Davis. And Falter has been incredible since she has been interjected into that lineup. She was snubbed for 6th player of the year, not even on the list, and I think she's been playing with a chip on her shoulder ever since, and she's been huge for this team. Gabby Marshall had the task of chasing Caitlin Clark around for 4 quarters, and we got to give her credit for being the top perimeter defender on this team and willingly taking it on every night, every matchup, the top scoring threat on the perimeter for the opposition, man. She hit a big 3 as well. This team is not winning this game without Gabby Marshall. She just does so much that doesn't show up in the box score. I know we were a little hard on her at the beginning of the year, but man, she has really, really picked it up, and I'm impressed with her. Kate Martin, the closer for this group, 11 points, 1 assist, 8 rebounds. Her and Clark made huge shot after huge shot down the stretch and really put the dagger in Uconn, man. So shout out to him. Kate Martin has just been incredible. The senior in her last rodeo, not trying to go home, man. So you definitely got to salute Iowa, just never letting their gas off the pedal. Some late mistakes almost cost them this game, some late turnovers, because that ball pressure from Uconn was relentless. This game went down to the wire, man. Came down to one final possession. Of course, Uconn gets the steal. KK Arnold with a heads-up play. It looks like they have a chance to take the lead and win this game and just continue an improbable run for this group. And on this pick and roll, man, Aaliyah Edwards gets the offensive foul while they're trying to get Paige Beckers open for a look. And subsequently, that ended the game. So a lot of people felt different ways about that call. And we heard from Coach Gino Auriemma as well as Paige Beckers about, 1, that particular call and how it impacted the game. But 2, Gino kind of sounded off on where UConn stands in the things, where as far as them not winning Natty in a couple of years, but still being that program that everybody has to respect and some even fear.
There's probably an illegal screen call you could make on every single possession. I just know there were 3 or 4 of them called on us, and I don't think there were any called on them. So I guess we just got to get better at not setting illegal screens.
I thought we executed it well. We were going to get a shot off. The whistle blew. I didn't see it. It was in the rear of me. I was just trying to come off the screen. Everybody can make a big deal of that one single play, but not one single play wins a basketball game or loses a basketball game. I feel like there was a lot of mistakes that I made that could have prevented that play from even being that big or causing the game. So yeah, you can look at one play and say, oh, that was like that killed us or that hurt us, but we should have done a better job. I should have done a better job of making sure we didn't leave the game up to chance like that and leave the game up to one bad call going our way and that deciding it. So yeah, maybe that was a tough call for us, but I feel like I could have done a better job of preventing that from even happening.
What pisses me off is that the minute we don't win a national championship for a couple of years, people think that our program now is less worthy of some others that have done it twice or have gone to the Final Four 3 out of the last 4 years. So I think it's more rewarding on my end, not just to win a national championship. Obviously, you want to win a national championship every year, but people should talk about their own accomplishments instead of, talking about what we're not accomplishing. That seems to be the big story. And I said this a long time ago. The only story is like when Tiger was at the height of his career, the only story on every Sunday was he didn't win. Nobody cared who did win. And now people always wanted it to be like, well, can we celebrate other people? Okay, well, then celebrate them. And stop talking about us when we don't win a national championship. But, again, that's the world that we created. And, we might not win a national championship, but we're right there when it's usually being decided. And that's all that matters.
I think for Uconn, they're still firmly in the Sarah Strong sweepstakes, and that'll be a big piece if they can land the number 1 player in the country. I think that's their next move, just focusing all their attention. She will be making her decision later today, so that will be something to monitor. But the future's bright, man. You get Griffin, you get Fudd, you get Paige Beckers back, you bring in some talented recruits to add some versatility and some more scoring punch, some more depth. Your freshmen got to play very valuable minutes this year and continue to just improve game after game. So KK Arnold will definitely be a big key piece to this group next year, maybe filling in that Nika Mule role. We'll see, man, but you get Paige Beckers back, and that's the main thing. Of course, they do lose Aaliyah Edwards, so they've got some bigs that were hurt this year. It'll be interesting to see how they decide to fill that gap. But, hey, man, heck of a season for Uconn, heck of a season for NC State. But we get our matchup, our rematch. Iowa and Caitlin Clark, who some say the refs carried to the national title. I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Y'all know if it was close, we wasn't about to see Caitlin Clark lose. I ain't saying it's ESPN. I ain't saying it's the refs. We not here for conspiracy theories, but it is something to think about. And then, of course, we get the rematch, like we said. Iowa, South Carolina back in the national championship game after losing in the Final Four last year. This team, we've said it all year, has a sense of urgency and focus that we did not see from the team last year. This team right here, these Gamecocks want to rip your freaking heart out and stomp on it and then go make a TikTok video dancing on top of it. So, hey, man, it'll be a battle of two forces. Big game on Sunday coming up, and we'll dive more deep into this matchup and dissect it in our next video. But right now, we just had to give y'all that recap, let y'all hear from the coaches, the players, let y'all know how we got here, this improbable run from Uconn and NC State, the crosstown state rival to South Carolina right there. South Carolina, North Carolina going at it in that state rivalry. And then, Iowa, Caitlin Clark still chasing that elusive national title. Can this be the last thing to put her in that GOAT conversation, that last stamp that she needs? I don't know. Y'all holler at me. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear y'all debate. I want to know what y'all think about all these games, the predictions, and did we see this national championship coming? Y'all holler at me. Let me know. That's a wrap for us. For all the latest and the greatest, I am Brandon Blakeney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. Until next time, hey, we out.